Oh,
You are listening to Veterans Action Report on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I'm your host, Nick, coming to you live from St. Paul, Minnesota.
And I'm Andrew Canales, coming to you live from Evergreen, Colorado.
Every day, veterans are struggling with many issues spanning from homelessness to mental health crisis, often leading to 22 veterans a day taking their own lives. There are veterans all around the U.S. leading the fight to help guide our brothers and sisters to a better life. We will bring you stories from all around the country telling tales of veteran struggles and triumph. Every episode benefits veteran-run nonprofits Warriors Next Adventure, helping veterans fight PTSD through recreational therapy and new adventures. And Houses for Warriors, helping solve the homeless crisis, leading veterans to a better lifestyle.
good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to episode 13 of episode 12. I did it again, man. Man, I'm bad at counting.
We're number 12.
Yeah, it's episode number 12. We're coming
It's
to you
okay.
live.
I said it was 2012 the other day, or 20. Yeah, like one of our episodes, I was like, oh, it's been
Just a decade off, no big deal.
Yeah, no.
We're sitting here at Creative Destiny Studios in Denver, Colorado. We figured we'd get a couple video or a couple podcast film over here, so this one will be coming out soon. We will be taking text and phone calls during this show. So even though this is a pre-record, we will be able to answer your questions while the show is airing. That number is 612-467-9489, and that will go directly to my cell phone. I'll be able to get you any information that you need. Don't call it because I'm probably not going to answer. Just text me. How you been, Andrew?
Really good, man. I'm again happy you're here.
Of course,
For
man.
anybody listening to all of our episodes in a row, you're going to be like, oh, they were just in that same clothes, same everything. So no, I'm glad we're actually filming a couple episodes. It's really good to have Francesca here. We're going to bring on Francesca from Homes for Veterans. And she just last month dropped $60,000 on our next project for a very deserving veteran, Tyler Wilson. He's a combat veteran. He's the reason why we do what we do. And so, yeah, we're going to have a chance to talk about him. And then actually today's our big film day. We're doing all the before footage of what the project looks like now. And we're going to get started next week. So
Nice.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, let's go straight into it. Let's bring Francesca on. So
Yeah.
One second here. Francesca, thank you for joining us.
Hey, girl.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Thanks
is very
for
cool.
being in Colorado. Two good, amazing people and leaders in the veteran community are in the same room right now.
I know, right?
Very
Awesome.
cool. Thank you.
I learned about what you were doing yesterday, and I got to say, it's amazing at the work that you're doing. You know, taking over for your father, and everything that you've been through. It's amazing to see how far you've come. From everything that's been going on recently, and partnering up with Andrew. This guy, he's amazing. He does so many good things, and all we need is some money. It's so hard to get that. And with you guys funding that, I think it's absolutely amazing. So
Absolutely. That's always the hardest part, but it comes when you start really connecting to people. And there's a lot of people out there that are willing to give for the veterans, because there's a lot of people that realize how much veterans, and obviously you guys know that, have sacrificed for us. And that was what my dad always taught me growing up, and it has resonated with me my whole life, because I always say this, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be able to be in this room together if it wasn't for the veterans that have sacrificed for our freedom. So a lot of people realize that. And when you find those people and you work together, then that's where the money comes.
Appreciate it.
You're the type of person that thank you for your service just isn't enough.
Mhm.
And you took on this organization. Like I was telling you about this yesterday, because every time I just talk about how amazing you are, you're like, oh, it wasn't me, it was my dad.
Mhm.
And what's amazing is that you took this over. I said it to you yesterday, like the commitment and the responsibility that you took on to fulfill that mission and to help our brothers and to help our sisters and to just be that leader in the community is truly commendable. So
Thank you.
I'm really honored to know you and to partner with you and to just like take this to the next level and start working on projects nationally, because we both have a different style of doing things as far as like how we help our veterans get their repairs they need. I've been more of an organizer and getting volunteers, and you like to just go straight to the contractor, pay the contractor, get the work done. And I love that. So what we've kind of started doing with this relationship and this partnership is we're blending the two. You know, we're paying our contractors. We're also getting some volunteers. We're also mixing in a little bit of donated work. And so it's exciting because we're doing, you said this is the biggest project you've ever done. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
we've never done a full house.
Let's talk about that. What have you done before? Like, how is this compared to what you've done in the past, your biggest project in the past?
Yes. So we mainly focus on home modifications. So we do a lot of ramps, a lot of wheelchair accessible showers. We do, full ADA kitchens where we lower the sink so the wheelchair can roll right up to the sink, or lowering cabinets and things of that nature. So one project per veteran. This is pretty cool because we're doing an entire home and being part of an entire adapted home. So I'm really excited to see the final result of that. We never did an elevator. I'm really excited to see that. And I just want to touch upon what you said before, which going beyond saying thank you for your service. I think a lot of people just say thank you for your service and they feel really good about saying that. And not that we should stop saying that, but I think being able to do something and really talk to the vet after doing something for their service, it really just makes such a big difference. I cannot believe after the work that we've done, how grateful the veterans are. And I'm like, this feels to me like the bare minimum. And it really, again, my dad has taught me that growing up. So for example, giving a veteran who is an amputee a wheelchair accessible shower, that feels like the bare minimum. Like, of course you should have a wheelchair accessible shower, but that is exactly how you can show, thank you for your service. And I think if you go on our website and see the projects that we've done, the gratitude that the vets have, and their
it's not a small
family.
Project to them. That's
No,
for sure. It's a huge deal. And it's like, you say the bare minimum, they're like, wow, you're going above and beyond for me. Like, and it's the first time. I know that the people that we help at Houses for Warriors, it's for a lot of them, it's the first time they've ever gotten support in this way. And they've felt like they've hit walls everywhere they go.
It's hard to convince people that you're actually there to help.
Yeah. Yeah. They almost don't believe it, or they think you have an ulterior motive or some other incentive, behind it. And
I always tell people, is like, my motive for helping you is for you to get better so I can be happy because you're happy.
Well, and to pay it forward. Like, I want to help people so they pay it forward and start a ripple effect, because that's all it takes is to end the trauma, is to break the cycle and start helping, supporting. And then for someone to be able to receive that, they can in turn pay that forward and start offering it when because like I say, they say you're not able to love unless you love yourself. You can't serve from an empty plate. I just dropped a big C. I can't, because it's not, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. And I like I said, I appreciate you and just the fact that we're doing this together. We're gonna go meet our veteran. You haven't met him yet, and his wife. Excited. So you saw the video I sent you of his wife carrying him up the stairs. Yes. So for our audience who doesn't know who Tyler Wilson is yet, Tyler is an Afghanistan war veteran who was shot 4 times, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. And so he's got 2 lovely kids, an amazing wife who's actually a firefighter here in Denver. And the first video I showed you of this guy was him being carried up his stairs by his amazing wife, who's like your size. She's tiny.
Literally.
She's a gangster, dude. She picked that dude up like it was nothing, man.
I know. I'm like,
threw him over her back.
Firefighter. Yeah.
I cannot. That's crazy to me. And also that just goes to show also the ripple effect of these modifications, because it's really hard to rely on your loved one after being this independent soldier, going out there and fighting, and then you're relying on your loved ones to help you do really basic things.
It releases a lot to the spouse and the family and the people around them.
I'm just trying to go up the stairs, or we just did a wheelchair accessible bathroom, and the guy, he lives with his grandchildren, and he was like, I just want to be able to brush my teeth, but he couldn't reach the sink in the bathroom because it was too far from the wheelchair, and the wheelchair couldn't fit in the the doorway.
It's such pain.
And you don't like, you do those things every day and you're not thinking about it. So,
When I was
Yeah.
telling you, I had an experience in a wheelchair when I was in a mountain biking accident. Some of you guys have heard this,
Mhm.
and 6 years. Was it 6 years already? Wow, 7 years already. 2015, I broke both femurs at the knees, and I had to be in a wheelchair for about 6 weeks, and I was still using it about 6 months into the accident, so into the recovery phase. And learning how to walk again it just sucked. It was a long process, and I was stuck in my mom's 1-bedroom apartment. So my physical therapy was just to get to the bathroom because my wheelchair didn't fit down the hall.
It's crazy.
The bathroom was on the other end of the apartment.
Mhm.
And so that was why I got into this work right away, and really wanted to make a difference and help, remove those barriers, because those physical barriers can cause a lot. And like even in Tyler's situation, his wife Crystal, if they don't get this elevator in soon, the help that they did have is already moving out. Like they had, I'll tell a little bit of their story. So Tyler's best friend, who actually saved his life, passed away and was killed in action.
Mhm.
And I hope that's right. Gosh, my memory gets a little messed up with some of these stories. However, they moved in his mom,
Okay.
and so they were like, letting his mom stay there, and they were like, just, she was helping out Crystal and helping out with this remodel. And so now that she's moving out and moving back into her own place, Crystal's losing that help. So like this elevator is so pertinent for her being able to just go to work
Mhm.
and be able to like have her own job and her own career, because without it, she'd have to be there for him and be
Right.
there for Tyler. So it's not that it's a burden or anything. However, it's releasing a lot of barriers on the whole family, like you said.
Right.
So it's amazing.
And every person deserves to have their own independence, and
Yeah.
it's just also for safety. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily good for her to be having to carry him. It's
that can't be
not
good on her.
safe.
No.
Yeah, and you deserve, like, have you fought for this country? Like my
In
dad
a fire, that's
yeah.
one thing. Like, okay,
Yeah.
get on my back.
in
Got
an
you, but
emergency.
not
But
at 3 times a day every
No.
day. I mean,
Yeah.
her legs are gonna be really strong forever, though.
yeah.
She's never gonna have issues.
Right.
She's amazing too. I'm so happy that you guys are, and both of you, Nick, you get to
Yeah.
meet
I'm excited.
this amazing family too, and be a part of this. And I feel really blessed with the people in my life these days, and just to be surrounded by amazing leaders that are actually making an impact in the community.
So I got a question for you. So
Mhm.
how did Houses for Veterans get started? Or Homes for Veterans, sorry.
So my dad in 2012, he realized after the whole 9/11 crash, when everything was really bad for everybody, that was like 2009, 2010, he started to realize there was a lot of vets that were struggling. And I believe he had an encounter with someone that he knew that was really struggling really bad. I don't know if they were exactly homeless, but I think it was something to that degree, that they were struggling really bad, and he couldn't believe how bad it actually was. And then he started getting into it, and
I'm sorry to interrupt you a little bit. Just
Mhm.
pull that microphone a little closer to your face.
Oh,
too.
sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
And he just was devastated to see how bad the veterans were struggling during that time.
Sure.
So he didn't actually. My dad wasn't a veteran, and he felt this was his way that he could serve in his own way. So he started the organization, and he realized that there was a lot of vets that fell through the cracks of the VA, that they weren't able to help in the capacity that he wanted to. So he started our barrier-free mission, which was to serve in a barrier-free capacity, not just creating barrier-free environments, but making our application process as barrier-free as humanly possible.
You have the easiest application out of any nonprofit I've ever seen in my life.
Thank
I
you.
just wanna throw that out
We
there.
try to make it
Anybody
easy.
who needs special
Mhm.
adaptive modifications, home repairs, anything. You just guys helped out the hurricane victim down in. Tell us about that one.
Yeah,
That's your last
so
project you did.
Hurricane Ida hit Jersey really, really hard,
Oof.
and that's where we grew up. I grew up, and that's where the hurricane hit very, very, very hard. So FEMA does what they can, obviously, but it hit places.
And insurance, right? Like it takes a long time.
Well, it hit places that normally don't flood. So this
Oh.
family in particular didn't have flood insurance. So this man was both Navy corpsman, and he was a frontline worker. So he was working all through the pandemic, and so Hackensack Hospital was an epicenter. He worked all through that, and his house wasn't in a flood zone. I mean,
It looked bad. It looked like there was a lot of damage.
the entire foundation collapsed, and then the town said, you have to leave. So they had to leave the house. They had to go into shelters. They also had 2 kids. They had no cars, and he was still working, and his wife in the hospital. So they had nowhere to turn. And you can watch the video on our site. But long story short, it came.
Yeah, we're
to,
gonna play it at the end of this episode, I think.
Thank
We're gonna play a little
you.
bit of it for sure.
But long story short, FEMA, they ended up finally turning to the news. The news triggered FEMA. FEMA gave them a portion of the funds they needed, but they needed close to $100,000.
And you filled that gap again, didn't you?
We gave them a portion of the funds so they can
Awesome.
just at least get back into the home. And they were able to finally, and the contractors they found were great. But they were able to get back home with heat and electricity, and the foundation rebuilt right before Christmas, which was so satisfying for me because, I mean, to go from, 2
And your
parents
contractors
working,
had COVID too, right? Like
not
you
in
had a
that
delay.
situation. No, that was
okay.
that was the
Oh,
one,
okay.
the wheelchair accessible
That was the other
bathroom.
one.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I
You had
literally
a lot
everyone
going. You
had
just have a lot
COVID.
going on.
Yeah,
and
it was a lot.
I'm proud of you
Yeah.
for getting that done before Christmas. I'm sure they were so happy.
Yeah, because I just felt like, this is a situation again where you have 2 parents working, you have a daughter in school on full scholarship. These people are not
They're
not lazy
Americans.
people that are like, oh, why are they? They were hardworking people that
Hey,
served
guys, go-
us. Oh no, why
My
do
bad.
I hear my voice?
Sorry. Yeah, that's my
Oh
bad.
no. But
Echo.
but they served our community. I mean, not only did this guy serve our country, but he served our community. He was continuing to serve the community. And then here, VA turns their back, FEMA turns their back. I mean, I just feel like, what?
And insurance turned their back.
Everybody turns their back. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And my dad always said, like, the VA does a lot, and the VA does so much. I don't want to make
No,
it
they
seem
do.
like that, but you just feel like it's just, that's where we step in.
It's an
So,
overwhelming process. And
It's
that's-
overwhelming.
I get that every day with every veteran that I encounter that needs housing. They have exhausted their resources. They have
Mhm.
exhausted their patience with going through the process, and they're literally ready to give up.
Mhm.
And some that really are on the brink of giving up are lucky to find Nick, and he has a suicide hotline that he actually answers
Mhm.
personally
Which is
because
great.
and most of the calls are like after VA experiences.
Most of them
It's
are because
like-
the VA is either dicking them around or
They're like
they
in
can't-
the VA losing
yeah.
their minds. Like
they
you
can't
got
get
a
the
couple of
services they
those.
want. They can't get any kind of services that they actually want because their VA ratings are messed up and stuff like that. So what we do is we help them with whatever it is they need. So if they're dealing with homelessness, we got connections. We're dealing with like financial issues. Yeah, Simplify Funds actually hooked up that guy I was telling you about. So thank you.
Good,
That's-
man.
I
So
added that
I
to my
tell
list.
everybody about Simplify Funds. So this is going to be a great resource episode
Mhm.
because not only Homes for Vets, we have Simplify Fund is great financial resource. They take everything on a case by case basis, and then like DAV for disability claims.
Mhm.
Those rating problems, like I send everybody to the Disabled American Veterans
Mhm.
organization, and they do an amazing job. They have veteran service workers. Essentially, they're free lawyers. that
I'm
help you with your
impressed at
benefits.
how many people don't know what a VSO is.
I know
It blows
that's-
my
Well,
mind.
and it's like you have a free VSO. It's a lawyer. It's basically a trained
Mhm.
legal advisor to help like navigate the bullshit in the
Mhm.
VA, and you get your benefits. Like
And
Yeah.
that's
and
essentially
DAV is the best.
yeah, they're pretty good. I think my
American Legion's
VSO
okay.
my VSO uses VFW.
The
And
VFW
they
is
were pretty good for us. But that's situational. Everything is situational. It's never going to be cookie cutter,
and
you
it's
know.
all location.
Yeah,
Location.
That's the problem.
Right.
What do you experience in New York with your VA? Like I know Colorado is one of the best VA systems, like VA hospitals.
Minneapolis
in
is
the country.
wonderful too.
Minneapolis,
Yeah.
I've heard Minneapolis is really
I
good.
work-
California's terrible.
Really? I've worked more and sent I've had more experiences and information with the New Jersey one because that's where we're mostly based, and it's mixed reviews depending again on like north or south, and also with male and female.
Mm.
Like the females tend to have more issues, and they just don't love it. I know, like in northern New Jersey, they're advocating for more of like a female space, which one of our goals for 2022 is that we want to do more female projects. We did do 3 female projects last year that were really successful, but yeah, so it depends on, again, who you talk to and what the situation is. But there's a big VA hospital called Lions that we've worked with a lot. We did massive care packages for, and
Nice.
it was beautiful when I went down there, but I've never like used it myself, obviously.
Well, yeah,
so.
yeah. No, I got you. I know.
Yeah.
I know that you work with veterans a lot, obviously,
Mhm.
and I'm sure they share their experiences with you and what they've
Yeah.
gone through. And
I've sat at
um,
round tables, and we have a
mhm.
veteran on my board who's so
It's really
great. He's
good that you do
amazing.
that.
Yeah, the round tables were really eye-opening. I went to in the summer, and the veteran that's on my board, he's so good. He's fantastic. And I always, I feel like I try to be an advocate, and my dad, I felt, was really such an advocate.
There's that
but it's a
T word
big
again. Try. You are an advocate. You are doing it.
Thank you.
You're advocating for our community in a big way. So
I love the veteran community. It's so tight knit, and it's such a supportive group of people. And I'm so grateful because I didn't go serve. So I'm like, if it was up to me, though, you don't want me to go serve, guys. Like, trust me, you don't want me out there. I would be the worst one. So I'm
be a
like,
hard
let
ass.
me, yeah. I'm like, let me serve you guys now. Let me do my job here. I'm
that's-
much better off.
That's one of the things
You
that I
would've
have
been
a
a
lot
good
of
leader in the
conversations with
military.
people is, there's a lot of folks that say, well, I was going to join, my biggest regret is not joining the service, but people don't realize that you can serve without serving in the military. There's plenty of things you can do to serve your country.
Oh,
You
the
can,
civilian contractors. I mean, half of our military is civilian
well,
contractors.
it's not only that, it's serving your community. It's helping out at charities, helping out at nonprofits, because that is literally making the world a better place.
That's how I try to encourage our community. I'm like, give back to our vets. They have done so much for us, and learn, because I don't think, especially my generation, and I don't want to call anyone out, but I just feel like my generation and younger, I think there's a big disconnect. Like, I don't think they really like understand. I mean, I try to watch videos and I try to learn, and I'm like, I just want to help as much as I can, because I really am so grateful. I can like cry thinking about it, but because the guys, like, everyone is so young when they go over there, and I'm like, you can help now, like, and you should. I mean, we're American, like, that's your civil duty, in my opinion. So you should
Well,
give
it's like
back.
it's interesting that we incentivize what other parts of the world claim as like basic rights. Like, so we incentivize education, affordable education, like lifetime health care, all these things that encourage a lot of people to serve. Like, most people that I know serve so they could travel the world, or so that they could shoot guns and be around stuff that blows up. Like,
I just had to get away from my friends.
or they want to get away from their hometown and travel, or they want the benefits. They go to school.
Mhm.
And so, like, it's very interesting that, like, in other parts of the world, Israel, they make it mandatory that
Yeah.
you serve 2 years, and it creates this like bond amongst the people in such a
Yes.
way that, like, everybody understands like what they fought for, and like everybody's a part of this like bigger tribe, bigger community.
Yes.
And that's one thing that's like really kind of missing in our country right now, is that, like, even though we have these great incentives to join, I think the numbers are probably going down at this point.
Yeah, we're not
Like,
technically in a conflict right now, so that doesn't,
oh,
that's going to drop the
have
numbers.
we ever?
Technically. So the numbers are going
Hot
down
take.
slightly.
Sure. Yeah, no. It's just it's interesting. I think all of it is fascinating to just observe and be a part of. I do know that I appreciate anybody who steps up for the people who did serve, and like anybody who puts their time and energy into showing that appreciation is just a better person than
Well,
most.
I actually
Yeah.
got my first attack on Warriors Next Adventure because of a post that I put up, and it's essentially saying that just because somebody hasn't walked in your shoes doesn't mean they can't empathize with you. And so
Yeah.
one of the things that we were talking about was, Just because a civilian hasn't served does not mean that they haven't experienced some sort of trauma that can help them at least empathize with what you're going through, because the experience is always going to be different with trauma, but the process is almost always the same.
Well, and the physical things that happen to you when you experience trauma are the exact same. So like whether it's a car accident or a bomb that went off, like you experience the same physical like stress. And
Well, that's what I was saying.
what
It
PTSD
affects
is.
it affects your neurotransmitters exactly
Yeah.
the same. So stress is stress, trauma is trauma.
And
right?
everybody's been
It's-
through it.
Exactly. And it just depends on what it is. So like babies, the worst thing they've ever felt was hunger, and that's why they cry. If you think about that,
Yeah.
that's their worst experience, was being hungry. That pain in their stomach.
The
And
fear of
that is
death
their
from
worst trauma
starvation.
at that
Yeah.
point. So you have to stop. I often tell veterans, stop comparing your stories. Don't do it, because it's just going to lead you down a rabbit hole that's just either going to make you resent people, or you're going to think that you're not good enough just because you didn't deploy, or just because when you deployed you didn't do any kind of Rambo shit. It doesn't matter. It's still the fact that you actually went through that service. And for the people who sit here and look at civilians and say, well, they'll never understand. Like, okay, the only thing that you're doing by not talking to that person is guaranteeing that they're not going to understand, because you're not giving them a chance.
Mhm.
So people like you who is a civilian, but you're doing things that, that is greatly helping the veteran community. Why would somebody turn that down? And so the one thing that I tell a lot of vets is, stop turning down help just because they're not civilians or not veterans.
And I think that's also really helpful. And because I also obviously went through my own thing, I always try to think like, at least the person is trying to understand and be there for you, and that speaks volumes. Like, because the worst thing, or something worse than that, is like the person can just abandon you, or people can abandon you, and I think abandonment is something that a lot of vets feel, because we
For
help a
sure.
lot of like
Mhm.
pre 9/11. I think the post 9/11 vets have gotten a lot more, because I think people were just like so awake during that time,
Yeah.
because it was just such a crazy time. But the pre 9/11, sorry, like the Vietnam guys,
Yeah,
like
Vietnam era vets were just
they're
were
so
so mistreated.
abandoned.
Yeah.
And when we help them, they're like it opens a whole thing, and I'm like, oh my god, no, of course we're here for you, like you count. And it's just like night and day. And they really appreciate that we just are there and trying to help. And so for anybody listening, we help every vet. It doesn't matter when you served, it doesn't matter if you're pre or post 9/11. We actually end up helping even the Korean War veterans. There's still guys around from the Korean War. And
I had a guy from the Beirut conflict.
Wow.
Wow. It's like I didn't even know
Yeah.
it. I had to go look that up. I'm like, I don't remember what
Yeah.
that was. They haven't made a movie about that one.
Exactly.
It's
And
terrible.
it's like so any like it just the fact that hearing
Yeah.
anything, it's so important. The feeling of abandonment is the worst one. So we're here. I love hearing every story, and I've had so much trauma myself, and I appreciate this community so much, and we try to do as much as we can. I'm trying to grow as fast as we can. I know there's a myriad of hardship, and
Slow and steady wins the race.
yeah. So any resources also that we can provide, we try to provide. That's why we're hooking up with you guys. And I think there's a lot of great things that we can accomplish together.
There's a lot of synergy happening and like between us and between like a lot of different people in my life these days. And
Yeah,
I mean, you
like
hit it.
we were cuddling last night. The
Yeah,
synergy was
So
wonderful.
cute.
after crashing helicopters. Oh yeah, that was the last episode. We were playing Battlefield last night.
I'm so bad at video
It was
games.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
not good.
Same.
I'm actually
I still
so
like it.
surprisingly, I was looking at my ranking and my stats and stuff, and I'm like in the top 1% in the world, and I was a little ashamed of that. at
Wait, of
first.
what?
Of like
Battlefield.
gamers and Call of Duty and
Let's
Battlefield.
go.
I
Oh my
was like,
God.
wait, what? I need to start streaming and making money.
Yeah,
from this.
get on
shit.
Twitch.
I know that's
Yeah.
what people keep saying. So I'm gonna explore that new technology. But no, you
I
were
got some
telling me,
vets that
dude.
can hook you up if you need.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll I gotta upgrade my system, man. I'm still in the old Xbox though. Like
My friend, she's a Twitch streamer, and she did a charity stream for us, and it was really successful.
I mean, that's what
Nice.
I'm hearing. Like,
Yeah.
the Modern Warfare competitions and the fundraisers they do. I mean, they're raising millions of dollars just playing video games. I'm like, Jesus, I'm in the wrong fucking
My friend,
Yeah.
my friend,
fundraising. I'm in the wrong
Yeah.
fundraising.
my
I
friend
game.
know.
Dan did,
It's
my friend
fun.
I'm
Dan
really
did
good
one
at-
for me. His name is Dorak. He's got like this little red puppet,
Nice.
and like it's
Yeah,
the
it is.
puppet on camera, but it's the foul mouth puppet. So he says a lot of
Okay.
essentially veterans humor, but he just plays video games and talks shit to people
Wait,
with
I'm
this
gonna
puppet.
follow.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's called Dorak. He's hilarious. He's like one of my best
We'll have
friends
to
from the
add a
military.
link
So
to the stream.
My boyfriend got me really into Twitch in this last like year,
Yo, I
and now
had-
I can't get off of it.
I had to have a little kid explain it to me because I had a friend over who
Old
was a
man.
kid, and we were like, I was like playing Modern Warfare when they got there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so good at that game." And then he's the one that showed me how to find my ranking. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know there was like a global rank.
I don't know.
And then he shows it, and it's like top 1% of all players, and I'm like number 1,000,000 something. I'm like, get the hell out of here.
Let's go. Yeah.
So that was exciting, and I
Get
felt
on
again. I
Twitch.
also felt a little shamed because I'm like, I don't play that often. I'm just my brain works different. And I'm
I
able
kind
to,
of like it,
connect
yeah.
it. Like
you might use it for your advantage. Start doing
I think
streams.
so.
Throw the
man, it's
stream
coming,
on
it's
every time
coming.
you play. I
well, so
mean,
yeah, this kid's explaining Twitch, and then the first Twitch I find is like some chick who plays video games in character. So
yeah.
like she plays
Yeah, she wears,
cosplay
like,
games and
anime.
like plays the anime game. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm
There's
like,
some weird ones.
I'm
on
like,
there.
they want
Yeah.
me to do this? What? Oh, okay. There's
we
other...
need to get you dressed up in
no,
hentai.
like there's all kinds of like characters,
Oh my
dude. It's
God,
hilarious.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff on there.
But back to what you were saying though, man. Like
Put the
you-
child blocks on his Twitch.
I know, right?
I'd have to figure that one out too. So I'd have to man, you hit it on the head though, as far as like how we there's a lot of veterans that separate themselves. I was one of these guys who would like separate myself from civilians.
that
I'm
was
like,
too.
they're
back
like,
in the day.
oh, we're too different. There's no way you can understand me. Oh, I've been through too much. And literally it was because of this convergence program that I'm in, our new partners, this coaching that I've been doing. Like I was able to like really break that limiting, belief in myself and be able to actually open up and connect and being able to hear what civilians have gone through as well, and like the trauma that any human being has gone through is so key to actually connecting on an intimate level and building like real relationships and real friendships and people that I remember their names again. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I remember the first time we got on Zoom, we were crying on Zoom talking about your dad and
Yeah.
just like how beautiful the synergy was, and just how like we were connecting at the right moment, at the right time, and just I don't know. I find that if I'm more vulnerable and more open to hearing other people's story, I end up falling in love with everybody.
I mean,
It's
there's
just
a reason
giving them
why
enough
your
time.
there's a reason why your mouth closes and your ears don't.
Yeah.
You gotta listen to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
If only we could perk our ears
I
like
know, right?
dogs, right? Like, just like, okay, I'm listening. I'm here. You can see it.
So I know it's extremely uncomfortable,
Mhm.
but I'd like to hit on how did you get to the point where you are running this nonprofit?
So, in 2020, early in the pandemic, before it really was even barely known, my dad, unfortunately, he was obviously running the charity for almost 10 years, and then he got very sick with COVID, and he was hospitalized for almost over 20 days. And while he was in the hospital, I began working on the organization. I was always a part of it. I was just doing like social media and like some of our fundraising events and things like that. But I always had my own life and my own job. I was doing acting and like trying to pursue that. But I figured, he'll be out of the hospital and I'll like have all the emails, up to date. I was even forced to isolate from my mom. So I was in the city and my mom was in Jersey and she was sick, and then she recovered and he was in the hospital. And then finally just, he never came out. And I just talked over with my mom and I said I would like to, continue the organization. And she was like, of course, like, you could do that. So that's what I did. And my mom is still the vice chair. She always was. And I brought on some new board members like Dennis, who's a veteran. And I just grew it from there. My dad had a full-time job, and I think we did a really good job of growing it. So yeah, it's been really extremely difficult because I had to learn so much without him, and it's hard, but I just want to carry on his dream and his legacy. And his dream was to serve as many veterans as possible, and that's what I want to do. And I want to make it just so big, and I never want his legacy to ever be forgotten, because he was such an amazing man, and he was so generous and so like he always gave him his full self, and I never want that to be forgotten. So that's how I ended up where we are. So yeah.
Well, I'm sure your dad's extremely proud of you.
Thank
You know,
you.
you're doing fantastic
Thank
work.
you.
You know, and anybody helping veterans is a good person in my eyes, because, you know, I take those suicide calls and I know what it's like, because half of them feel alone and they feel abandoned, a lot like what you were talking about. And I think, you know, with what you've experienced with your father and everything like that does help you relate to veterans a little bit more, you know, because loss, you know, obviously is one of the hardest things to deal with,
Thank
you know.
you. I
Well, it
do.
sounds like he's got your
understand.
back too, because you're killing it.
Thank you. He
It's-
definitely does. He definitely does.
Let's-
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I do understand that idea of like no one understands what I'm going through, because even though so many people passed from COVID, I did have this, I still sometimes have this idea like, well, no one knows what I went through, because it felt
course.
so early on, and I do sometimes feel like no one understands what I'm going through, but I try not to let that affect when people try to comfort me.
Yeah.
Although I
Yeah.
understand how difficult it is. When you go through something, you feel like this is unique to me. But yeah, you don't want to push people away that want to help. So the community has been so amazing. Our donors are they're just so incredible, and they've helped us really do incredible things and change lives. And I never want to stop doing that. I've never felt so fulfilled, and I want everybody to feel the way I feel when we do this kind of stuff.
It's definitely fulfilling work that we
Mhm.
do.
I call it a healthy selfishness.
Healthy self.
Yes.
know,
I love that.
I run my nonprofit for me, you
Yeah.
know, and everyone's like, well, that's kind of messed up. It's like, well, is it? Like, because literally the only thing that makes me feel like I'm worth being on this planet is helping people.
Mhm.
See, I just shifted from that exact same mindset to I work on myself for my nonprofit. That was the big change for me this last couple months, because that's what I was just putting my whole life into this nonprofit, and my life was getting all like just bent out of shape. And so now I'm focusing like on my growth and my personal development. The more I grow, the more I change my life. You know, they say be the change you want to see in the world. So
Yeah.
the more I get step into that, the more progress I've been, having in the nonprofit. So, yeah, I don't know. You
No,
mentioned that. I wanted to share
absolutely.
that.
No, absolutely. Like even my mom, she was a teacher full time. And then when we went through everything that we went through, and it's just hard to be in a classroom now. It's like it's kind of scary. So she retired reluctantly, but she said she put all of the energy and the love, because she loved teaching so much. So all of that energy and love that she had for teaching, she now puts into the veterans. So she loves, she writes all of our letters, and she takes all of the phone calls, and she does the care
That's your mom?
packages.
She
Yeah.
sounds like my mom.
Yeah.
That's what my mom
So,
does, dude. She writes all the letters.
It's
answers
very
the
like
phones,
motherly
and-
job.
Oh, totally. She's
Yeah.
like, don't hire somebody. I'll
Yeah.
do it for you first. And then, yeah. So it's mama's got her backs, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
They love it.
so we only got a few more minutes. I want to hear about like the biggest challenge that you've faced since you've taken this on. It's been a couple of years now, right?
It'll be 2 years in April.
Almost
So,
2 years. So in this last
year
2
and a half.
years, like what has been the biggest challenge that you've been able to overcome? Whether it's like something personal, an internal dialogue, some kind of debate with yourself, some kind of like external challenge, just something that just made you almost quit, that you were able to get through it.
I think the biggest challenge are the people that are full of negativity that you have to kind of deal with, whether it's online or just some other people that are are part of bigger organizations that come with a lot of negativity, and that's not necessarily constructive criticism. That always feels really
Like haters.
difficult. Yeah.
Just
You're
haters.
gonna get haters every
yeah,
single day.
and you can
Uh-huh.
tell yourself that, but then still reading it online, it feels
Mhm.
it's hard, and you just are like, am I just you know, like, what is the point? It feels like you think, oh my god, I'm doing all this great stuff, this is amazing, and then somebody says something really mean and you're like, wait, what?
I had
You're like, what
somebody,
is the
dude,
point?
someone told me to go kill myself and that I was
Yeah.
never gonna be able to like achieve anything with my nonprofit. And you get some unsatisfied customers sometimes. Like
Yeah.
you get people who aren't willing to help themselves and they just want to be handed a solution.
Like the other
And
day,
it
a
doesn't
veteran
always
was said
happen.
I was would be better off being a stripper or just working in one of the VA hospitals so they could
That's an
just look at
interesting
me.
statement.
Sounds like a nice guy.
And I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
So every
okay.
time somebody comes
He's
at
the
me
guy
with
that
something
thinks
like that,
strippers are in love with him.
I know, right?
That's
I just look at him and go, "Hey,
Yeah.
listen." I was like, "You're so cute when you're angry."
Yeah.
I'll just fuck with them because what are they gonna do? I'm not
Right?
supposed to swear.
Yeah.
But like, what are they gonna do? Like, I'm going to piss people off with the things that I'm bringing to them because
Yeah.
what I'm doing is I'm challenging their morals. When you challenge somebody's morals, they're going to fight you, no matter what. Doesn't matter what it is, even if it's useful and it's something that they need to hear.
Mhm.
If you bring somebody something that pushes against their morals, you're automatically going to get a pushback. But sometimes people get so offended and they dig their feet in so deep, they don't realize that they're in over their head and they can't even see anything. They can't even see anybody else's opinions or thoughts.
Some people that
It's
are
obnoxious.
just, if they're just a piece of crap person, I didn't say the S word, I'm proud of myself. If they're just like piece of crap person and like they see other people doing genuinely good work and not for anything other than just to be a good person, they have a hard time understanding that. They think
Mhm.
there's some kind of secret that you're running from or hiding or I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
weird. And I was like, no, I've just grown up and
Yeah.
I'm not going to live in this cycle of trauma anymore. I'm going to start helping people get out of their cycles of trauma. And
True.
That's all it
That's
is.
true.
Like,
Yeah.
and with the repair work too, I mean, there's something magical about remodeling homes that I love. I got into construction. We both got into construction when we got out of the military. So it's just why
I started when I was like 16, so like I built some shit in
I
Afghanistan
had
too.
some stuff
So
in Afghanistan or in Iraq too. We were building like the walls and the tents and stuff and separating our rooms. And
Nice.
like we had some projects and some wood to work with. So that was fun. When I got out though, I got into carpentry because like something with working with my hands and being in construction and doing, watching something go from nothing into something beautiful. It was just amazing. So to be
providing
able to,
value is one of the biggest struggles with a lot of veterans. So when you actually do
Yeah.
something, you get to see what value you've put
Mhm.
into this world. It's extremely helpful.
Yeah, and then to just see how that value changes their lives and the value you add to their home and to their lives, and just So I think we're pretty
got
much
5
out
minutes.
of time.
We got 5 minutes.
Well, we're gonna have to be out of here by 5 minutes. So
No, we have 5 minutes. We're good.
okay,
Yeah.
It's 11:53. All right,
I know I'm watching the clock, bro.
all right.
The producer of this show. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Jesus.
All right, just testing you, man. Just testing you.
But yeah, so it's what projects do you guys have coming up? You guys talked a little bit about what we're going to check out after we leave here, actually. So speak on that a little bit
So with Tyler or
Mhm.
my own?
with
Yeah,
Tyler.
you go for it because you're the one that approved. Why did you approve Tyler's project? Why is this the largest project you've ever funded?
So, like I said, I mean, we're used to just doing these ramps or wheelchair accessible showers, something like this, and I just felt like I wanted to do something bigger, and we were kind of ready to take that next step. Now it's been a full year since I've taken over the program, and we were just ready. And Tyler's story really touched my board, and I wanted to. We were just ready to kind of take that next step. I really liked you, and it was a veteran run organization, which isn't always the case either. So I really liked you as a person, and
Aw.
we're working with you, and I thought that
Thanks.
was like a very cool collaboration. And
Thanks,
our
man.
missions were aligned. We're
Yeah.
both doing like similar stuff, and I thought
Very
that we
similar
could
stuff.
work together more. So I wanted to test out something that felt similar to what we usually do, and then see what we could do in the future. And then also we just approved an application for another wheelchair accessible bathroom in Texas.
Sweet. Good
So
job.
that should
You're
be
killing it.
happening, yeah, soon.
You got to give yourself a little more
yeah.
time on these. I think
Mhm.
we're, you're like me, where you just like, we got a project. It's like, oh yeah, let's get it done as soon as possible. When can we start? Let's
Mhm.
roll. And I think with us giving ourselves this like whole month, I think it's been like 6 weeks now that we've been planning. We
Mhm.
got pushed back because our contractor got COVID.
Yeah.
And then I got COVID.
It was a
And
bad
then,
month for
oh
COVID.
man,
Yeah.
a lot of people got COVID. So
Yeah.
and just so the audience knows what we're doing, so you support Helms for Veterans supported the cost of our elevator, which was $40,000. We got another $10,000 in like framing and electrical and all the things that go into making that elevator possible. We got another $10,000 going towards the rest of like the living room and floating the floors, making it all one level, so there's not ramps and steps on his main floor. And then we helped him get the VA Special Adaptive Housing Grant, which was $100,000, because they were quoted at $180 for this total project. That's why we came to you. And with that 100, we're going to be able to do a whole new kitchen, a whole new bathroom, reconfigure the entire master bedroom. And yeah, it's been amazing. We've already had Home Depot and with the Simplify Fund volunteers, they put in a whole backyard makeover.
Dude, Home Depot is awesome.
And I just told them, hey, apply with Simplify Fund, see what they'll do. And because I tell everybody, go to Simplify Fund if you need help. They're the most amazing support network for emergencies.
Yeah, they've been extremely helpful. I just sent a veteran over there last week, I believe.
They helped me get over to canines.
Really?
I couldn't afford to take off for a whole 3 weeks. And I was concerned, and I wanted to get the service dog, and I wanted to go through the program. And sure enough, they were like, call Simplify Fund, we'll get you hooked up. And they paid for my flight, and they sent me like $1,000 in gift cards to pay all my bills. So amazing resource, dude. Amazing show. I love you, man. I love you, Francesca. I'm so happy we're all together on this. And yeah, man.
Yeah, go check out Homes for Veterans, and go check out Warriors Next Adventure. Check out Houses for Warriors. There's so many different warriors, houses.
We just need the Warrior Foundation and just umbrella all of them, man. Like at some point.
Yeah,
we're all doing the good work we need to be doing.
Head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/ it's gonna be Veterans Action Report. It's pretty easy to find us. Just go there and type it in and search, and you'll be able to find us over there. So thank you guys. I appreciate you listening to us time and time again. You must love our voices considering you continue to listen. So
we love you and appreciate you. Thank you for helping us grow.
And thank you, KGRA, for throwing us on there.
Perfect.